Classic Car Care Center on Greenville Springs Road, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. It doesn't get any better.
Riverlands Insurance is one of the fastest-growing insurance agencies in the southern U.S. Representing over 100 insurance carriers, they're large enough to find you the best deal, but still able to provide that personal touch. Call Thomas Email today at 225-206-1517.
If you've been injured, it doesn't matter if you were hit by a big truck, a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
First time since 2017.
Live from Omaha.
Tigers win.
Presented by Rev Business with Charles Hannagriff and Jimmy Ott.
Downtown Baton Rouge. The Tigers are one win away from the national championship. Good afternoon. Alongside Jimmy Ott, I'm Matt Moscona, Grant Lanero, and Taylor Sharper with us here as well. We'll head up to Omaha, chat with our buddy Hunt Palmer, Ryan Terrio in the queue, Doug Thompson of the LSU Sports Radio Network. We got a lot to do here.
Uber driver.
No Uber driver. We got a lot to do here over the next 90 minutes, but it was a epic pitching performance by Ty Floyd and one swing of the bat by Cade Beloso that put the Tigers in this position.
Here's the 0-1 to Beloso. Hit high and deep to right field. Giving it a look is Scheikhofer, and this baby's gone! Cade Beloso gives the Tigers a 4-3 lead. Second home run of the College World Series for the LSU graduate who rounds.
And that's how it sounded on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Chris Blair and a very, very, very patient Doug Thompson alongside of him there. You got to love the emotion from the guys being able to call a moment like that. Beloso does it again last night.
I was surprised it took him that long. It was a no-doubter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, we talked about the win. We talked about the unders coming in and low scoring, and it was potentially a much more high-scoring game. 4 home runs. That certainly, is a big jump up. That ties the last 4 days combined.
Right.
But just could not imagine if one of those taters would have been when they had all those guys on base, 10 in the first 4. That's very difficult to do. I'll challenge you, man. I'm we watch mostly Major League Baseball, but college, whatever. I mean, you can go 500, 600, 700, 800 games before you see 10 LOB the first 4 innings. It's very difficult to do.
Jimmy, we talked so much on yesterday's pregame about the success LSU had against Brandon Sproat a year ago and also Florida's weakened bullpen. So, look, they drove Sproat's pitch count up and they got him out of the game early, but it still could have been. Look, when Kevin O'Sullivan took a mound visit with 1 out in the 3rd, I thought that was going to be it at that spot for Sproat. Now, they left him in, and ultimately remember, Dugas homered, Beloso singles. He gets Joe Bear to strike out. He gets Pearson to ground out, and then Milazzo struck out. So he got through it, but I really thought that was going to be it for Sproat. But maybe the biggest thing yesterday, Jimmy, in getting that win, look, Kevin O'Sullivan pushed his chips to the center of the table. Fisher and Neely are his 2 best bullpen arms. Both went over 50 pitches last night. That was a major strategic play by Sully, trying to go all in to get that win last night. He burned 2 big bullpen pieces last night.
Kind of evening a little bit. I mean, they still have all of their 3 starters lined up. LSU kind of has 2+ starters. And, my goodness, it was so close to being a woulda, coulda, shoulda forever. I mean, how many missed opportunities? You just couldn't get the hit at the right time. Now, unless you got the first hit with a runner in scoring position in the first inning.
It was getting
that first run, but then it was leaving the bases loaded, leaving 2, leaving 3, leaving 2. And, Florida somehow, some way, Floyd was so much more effective than Sproat. And, here they are in the late innings with the lead.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a tough one to swallow. So Florida almost steals it. They were in position to steal it, but then LSU gets one that we said before the game with, kind of without Skeens or extremely limited Skeens in this equation. Floyd, this is one they had to have, and he was obviously, come on, historic. With his stuff, but also a poor job by Florida's approach. And O'Sullivan talked about it in his opening statement, which was less than a minute with the media after the game. He said, I thought we got away from ourselves. I thought we got caught up. And it's almost insinuated like sort of the pride thing, swing for the fences type of thing against this Gorilla Ball light team. Because how many times did they chase a 2-strike, letter high fastball? Oh, I'm going to get it. Well, after 11 of them, you might want to stop. No, 17. It was over and over and over. And, you talked about it off the air before we came on. What was their scouting report before? So it was a combination of that and poor adjustment in game, because every time that's what he was throwing with 2 strikes.
And Ty Floyd struck out the side in the 9th and was still throwing 96. I'm sorry, in the 8th, and was still throwing 96. Jimmy, he's had 17 strikeouts. He strikes out the side in the 8th. I know he's at 122 pitches. I had half a mind to say, why not run him out there for the 9th?
Little bit of a blessing in disguise for here, sort of like 93 with Laxton, because it was the tight strike zone that forced him out of the game. He was not going to leave. His stuff was too electric on Monday, but with 97 pitches, he would have thrown considerably more than that.
Yeah.
Say 120. That would have reduced the amount he could throw last night, but they needed every one of them last night.
Ty Floyd was fantastic. After the game, here's what the LSU junior righty had to say about his historic performance.
Yeah, Alex has been great for us all year. I know this is actually the first time Alex caught me in a couple weeks and stuff, but he came up and like he's caught me all year and stuff. He was able to steal me some pitches tonight, able to block some balls up when I needed it and stuff. But also I know that other teams are threatened by his
Steve Arlen
arm,
of
so
Ohio
runners
State
don't run as much on him.
Tossed a 50.
Yeah,
All right, so that was Ty Floyd. Was the question? He was actually asked about Alex Milazzo catching him as opposed to Hayden Travinski. Jay Johnson said earlier in this College World Series, Travinski was battling a little bit of an injury. Milazzo's been catching ever since. We did see Travinski in a pinch hit situation and then catch the late innings.
Almost got it.
He did. The pinch hit situation, he struck out. And in the second AB is where he hit in the 9th inning. But he gave it a ride.
Hit it to center field, man.
He was close, man. I'm sorry, it was in the 10th. It was in the 10th when Travinski led off, and he struck out in the 10th and then came up in the 11th and flew out to center after Beloso had already homered. So, but man, if there is a decision, I think for Jay Johnson to make tonight or this afternoon, I think he's got 2. Jimmy, we saw Bear Jones also pinch hit for Braden Joubert, who's really been fighting it. And Paxton Kling replaced Joe Barron right. So do you start Kling in right? And then the other question is, do you start Travinski behind the plate in place of Milazzo? No. Those are the 2 decisions that Jay's going to have to make today.
He's riding a hot hand. Milazzo has been sort of, sort of a calming effect. He's just so much stronger, catching defensively, as a catcher. And we know Travinski, how do you get him out of the lineup? The guy was batting cleanup for you.
I know.
How many catchers bat cleanup?
Right.
At any level. So, you had to ride his hot bat. He was that good. But you also have to ride, Milazzo in his hot glove right now. How much, I know you and Charlie talked about it. Ryan will talk to you a little bit later as well about his framing and that he's stealing a couple of strikes here and there. That, just how much, we don't know exactly, but he is just calm. You steal that one pitch, and it completely changes the at-bat. But no, I would be shocked if he changes from the hot hand right now, because isn't he part of the equation of this pitching staff, pitching at this level?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other part of it, too, is if you were to make that change with either spot, right? If you were to sit Joubert or if you were to insert Travinski, either way, it fundamentally changes your lineup and your order, because you're not, for example, if you put Kling in for Joubert, you're not batting Kling in the 6 hole. So do you move Dugas up? Does that affect the bottom of the order? Do you have Milazzo, Kling 8-9, and then really you don't have production there in that spot, whereas you feel like you do now where you can turn the lineup over? So I think I agree with you. I think you stick with Joe Bear in right field, and especially on a day like this, Jimmy, we'll talk to the guys up in Omaha about the weather, but if the wind is blowing out at game
20
time,
to 25 is the forecast.
That's the forecast, blowing out.
Yeah.
So if that's the case today, look, I know Braden Joubert the last 4 games has been fighting it. But he's also a guy that, if he gets into one, is going to leave the yard. And so I feel like I need that bat against Hurst and Waldrop today. So I think Joubert's got to be in the lineup today in right field.
Would you say this is the toughest matchup of the 3, potentially? You know, with Waldrop, who's been their ace, who's been their better pitcher, who has a postseason ERA of under 1 against, Ackenhausen. As well as he pitched earlier this week, still.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that. Yeah. Look, I know Sproats is the Friday night guy, but Waldrop is
the better pitcher.
Is the better pitcher. He throws a split finger, which you don't see very much at the college level. In his 3 postseason starts, he's gone 8 innings, 7 innings, 8 innings, and 6 innings. He's got 37 strikeouts in 22 innings pitched in the postseason, and he's got an ERA of .86. I mean, he has been magnificent. I mean, he's their best arm, and it's why we sat here yesterday and we talked about it. It was why winning game 1 was so important, because you didn't want your season hanging in the balance having to face this guy. Jimmy, it feels a lot like in 2009. In 2009, LSU won game 1 against Texas in extras in 11 innings. Mikey Matuk with the big knock. And then Taylor Youngman from Texas just put him in a chokehold in game 2. And then they were set up to come back, and they won game 3 behind Anthony Renato. I hope it doesn't get to a game 3. I think we all hope this doesn't get to a game 3. But just starting pitching, like on paper, Waldrop is an advantage over Ackenhausen. That's not even debatable. MLB Pipeline has him as the 5th best pitching prospect in this draft, number 20 overall. Like, he's a dude. You're going to go up against as good a dude as you've seen in this draft. College World Series.
With that being said, Riley Cooper's not on any draft board. My man is dealing.
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, he is a proven big time pitcher, and on this stage is a big deal. So, what did Waldrop do in his? Did he throw against Oral Roberts?
He threw game 2 against Oral Roberts and struck out 13.
Okay.
He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run, and struck out. Well, it was either 12 or 13.
Yeah, and that's when O'Sullivan made the mistake going to the mound.
Did you see the
T-shirt? Yes, I can count to 6.
For those that missed it, Kevin O'Sullivan. There's a new rule where you can only take 6 mound visits, and once you take a 7th, then you have got to pull your pitcher. And O'Sullivan lost track and took 1 extra mound visit with Brandon Neely, his All-American closer, on the mound. So he had to remove Neely from the game against Oral Roberts.
Well, Johnson needs that counter, too, and I'm sure his support staff has it, because every time there's a little bit of he's making a trip out there and trying to calm things down. But, man, what about Ty? I mean, 27 strikeouts in 2 starts in Omaha, and how many more would he have had on Monday night without that tight strike zone?
Yeah. By the way, Waldrop, 6 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, 1 run on 7 hits against Oral Roberts.
Yeah, it was late. Keep in mind, in that Oral Roberts game, once he had to remove a pitcher he did not want to and forced him deeper into his bullpen, they got within 1, but also that was an inside the park home run in that rally as well. But left the bases. You want to talk about leaving 5 in 2 innings? Left 3 in the 8th, left 2 in the 9th. So the winning run in the tying and winning run was on base when they flew out to left field, kind of left center field to end against Oral Roberts.
And what a shot that was. No, that was the TCU game is what I was thinking of. Was the
the last out.
Yeah, it was the last out against TCU. All right, we're going to head up to Omaha. Our buddy Hunt Palmer, host of the Hunt Palmer Show of the LSU Sports Radio Network. He is in Omaha. Hunt jumped on a plane yesterday morning with his dad. Was like, I'm going to go check this out, like so many LSU fans did. So we'll get a boots-on-the-ground perspective from a guy who was in the park last night and will be there today. Hunt Palmer will join us next here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever.
Back to Eagle 98.1 Game Day, live from the College World Series in Omaha. Presented by Rev Business with Charles Hannegriff and Jimmy Ott.
And many thanks to our friends at Rev Business for bringing you our coverage from the College World Series all throughout the College World Series. Jimmy Ott, Matt Moscona in downtown Baton Rouge. Let's go to Omaha, where we find our friend Hunt Palmer of the LSU Sports Radio Network and our colleague, host of the Hunt Palmer Show weekdays from 1 to 3 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt, how are you, man? Hunt, how are you, man? All right, Grant, see if you can get Hunt on the line. We're out of the way. I'm having a little trouble. See if we can catch up with Hunt there. He's there in Omaha. Hunt jumped on a plane with his dad yesterday, like so many, and decided they were going to go
predictably so, though.
Yeah, I texted Hunt this morning. I was like, hey, need you to hop on at 12:15? And he's like, I have no voice. I was like, all right, well, we'll see how this goes. Jimmy, while we were waiting on Hunt, one of the things we were talking about was the play that Pearson made in left field in the 10th.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, off the bat, I thought that when Langford hit the ball to left.
Dual sport athlete at high school, high classification school. Langford generates so much bat speed. We saw the ball he hit, the farthest one in the history of the downtown park. And, he could not have hit it any more. The game's over if it goes off the bat.
Yeah.
I didn't give him any chance, but, man, it takes plays like that, whether it's the Monday night play by the third baseman from Wake Forest in foul territory, at first and third, nobody out. Trey Morgan's play, at the plate with one out in first and third, and both top of the eighth. And this one to save the game. So it gave him a chance. He had a little top speed, but he made it. And kind of reading the expressions, he's a confident, athletic kid, but he's like, a little. Thank gosh, that was hit right at me. So,
all right, let's go up to Omaha. We'll try it again. Hunt Palmer joins us. Hunt, how are you? All right, Grant, you got to figure out what's going on the board, bud. All right, don't worry about it. Let's just continue on with the show. We talked a little bit about facing Waldrop today. The flip side of it is what LSU does on the mound. We are scheduled to be joined by Doug Thompson in about 10 minutes from right now. So of the LSU Sports Radio Network, we'll get his perspective. Ackenhausen, we don't have it official yet. Lineups aren't posted, but everything I'm hearing, I think everyone is assuming here is that LSU is going to start
on Tuesday. Through 93 on Tuesday, it would be the third straight start with 4 days rest. And so far, so good. I mean, could you tell any different from Skeens or Floyd, on 4 days rest? So here's your third starter on 4 days rest. And, the little decision that you had to make, if it was going to be those two, which have started, the last couple of games, it would be 4 days rest. On the flip side, Waldrop started on Sunday through 103, and so he's got a full week's rest. But you talked about evening the ledger, just balancing it a little bit, not all the way, but having Sproat not going very far at all, and forcing O'Sullivan to get into that bullpen and extend his top two guys in the bullpen much longer than what they expected, probably making them unavailable today.
I was looking earlier, so that's going to be a very interesting decision that Kevin O'Sullivan will have to make if it comes down to that. So Florida has some bullpen arms available if we go through it. Phillip Abner has pitched a lot for them this year. He's thrown 31 innings. Nick Ficarata is another pitcher out of the bullpen who's done 34 2/3 innings.
Yeah.
Blake Purnell is another one of their big arms out of the bullpen.
Abner has not thrown a pitch in the World Series.
Well, they only played 3 games.
Yeah.
They haven't had to.
Yeah.
They've got such good starts as well from their horses.
Ficarata has not.
But the really interesting thing about him, Jimmy, is, and that also is an illustration that Kevin O'Sullivan last night went with his two best guys. Look, Ryan Slater is another bullpen arm who's available, who is probably thrown the most innings out of the bullpen for them this year. And
he's thrown 42, 16 Sunday and 26 Wednesday. So
Slater?
He's 100%. Yeah.
So the point is they've got some arms, but the two best arms they had available went yesterday. And we've seen at times this year Neely pitch on back-to-back days and be effective on back-to-back days. So I'd be curious to see if O'Sullivan, if the situation presented, if they would go there. My bigger question, honestly, Jimmy, when you win that game, you put all the pressure on Florida. What if they're desperate? Do they bring Jack Caglione out of the bullpen? Like, if you've got to save your season, do you take your best remaining arm, which would be Jack Caggs?
That would be a real desperate move.
It would be.
It would not be something that he plans on. That would be like a plan C or D type of move. You talked about Slater. He's thrown in every game. I'm sorry, Neely. Neely's thrown in every game so far. All 4 of their games in the College World Series.
He's their best arm. All right, last time we're going to try this. So let's see if we got Hunt this time. Hunt, how are you?
I'm pretty good, boys.
Hey, all right.
Hey, Hunt.
That's good news. All right. We got all the buttons pushed right. Hey, set the scene for us this early afternoon in Omaha.
It's a pretty day. It's a cloudy day, and as y'all have probably talked about, the wind is just howling. I'm standing here next to all the team flags well beyond the left field wall, and they are ripping out to dead center field. American flag as well. I'm blocked by a tent for the Charles Schwab field flag, but the wind's blowing really hard out, that's for sure. And look, y'all know this too, but LSU has taken this place over. It's amazing up here. You're running into people you know every turn. It is a packed house, and it's a lot of fun. I just got to finish the job.
What was it like in the park last night?
It was on fire, and it was tense, and I thought both teams rose to the occasion. I thought that both starting pitchers were good. Floyd obviously better. I thought that Neely was great. I thought the defense was really good for the most part, and it just came down to one swing. Florida made it and got unlucky, and it went right to Pearson, and then Beloso just hammered it. And it's amazing what that park feels like. It feels like Alex Box Stadium. I mean, the entire outfield's purple and gold, everybody around me is in purple and gold. It's almost a home game. I know that Jacques Doucet for Channel 9 asked Kevin O'Sullivan about that in 2017. Did it feel kind of like a road game? And O'Sullivan bristled a little bit, but it's a fact. LSU's just taking this place over.
And two parts of the equation is Florida does not travel. I mean, Florida does not even really come out and support a whole lot. They finally set a couple of in-state records during their super regional against South Carolina. But no, I mean, as much as LSU travels, I mean, Florida's had a lot of success and made a lot of trips to Omaha. Not as much as LSU, but they just don't travel. It's just not. It's not part of their fan bases, their culture.
No, they just don't, and it's odd. They don't fill the swamp unless they're really good. They don't have a big basketball following like Kentucky obviously travels like that. Tennessee travels for basketball, which shocked me when people that were up here, Jimmy, you included, said that Tennessee didn't travel very well. Florida just doesn't. I don't have a great reason for that, but they certainly have it for this one. I would say there's 1,500 in the ballpark, maybe. Yeah,
and it's funny because Hunt, the move from Rosenblatt to downtown, the word sterile has been used by Charlie and I sometimes, and we saw that place popping pretty good for the first two games against Tennessee and the first one against Wake Forest. But then you have the people sort of that pause where people come in for the first weekend and pause to see if they're going to make it to the championship series. So those midweek games, a little bit of pause. But like man, it was popping. You could feel it through the broadcast a little bit, and that's hard to do for that stadium.
Yeah, look, I didn't come in the 90s. I went to Rosenblatt in 09, thankfully, and got to experience it. I wasn't here in the 90s. And we went this morning and saw the site there and what's there, and I kind of showed my dad around, with the neighborhood and whatnot. But I understand the ballpark can create some challenges when the wind blows in. That's not a compelling brand of baseball. To have Nate Ackenhausen go to a post-game press conference and say, yeah, I just kind of threw change-ups over the plate. Like, that's not what we're looking for. But I will say this from my experience now having to come to Charles Schwab twice. The bars and restaurants around it, the Home Run Village with the band, I really enjoy the atmosphere around the stadium. There are hotels, there are restaurants. We walked out of the stadium last night. You could either go to Rocco's or one of the places that's absolutely busting at the seams and just enjoy being there, or we found a little whiskey bar around the corner and got a table and enjoyed that. And that didn't really exist at Rosenblatt. So I like it here from an environment perspective. And LSU certainly adds a ton to that. If you got Arizona and Coastal, it's not going to feel the same way.
No,
I like it here.
Outside the stadium, it's no comparison. I mean, you've got and I think since I've been the last 5 years, you've got, 6 to 10 new places, along Cumming Street or 10th, and, even more than Baseball Village and all the hotels and all the different restaurants, Blatt across the street. No, there's even more options around it. The brand new Let It Fly sports bar is unbelievable. I mean, state of the art by Mike Miller, former Florida basketball player, and his brother. But the thing is, I mean, Hunt, you don't miss the guy on the corner with his ice chest selling, $1.50 canned beer and bottled water. I mean, you miss that, huh? But there's no comparison outside the stadium. It's been a little bit. Now, with that being said, there wasn't really the massive crowd rush like we saw the last time against Florida, like we saw this time. This is all relatively new about, this predictable second wave that's coming in for this championship series. That didn't exist back in the Rosenblatt era.
Hey Hunt, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hunt.
Yeah, it's been amazing, just the text messages and even Twitter responses I've got of people that have come in the middle of the week. Or I got 2 text messages last night of people that are coming today. That there's still more people coming up. It's a wave, purple and gold here.
Hey Hunt, a little short on time. Give us a key today for the Tigers to claim number 7.
I really think it's Waldrop's fastball command. You're not going to hit his splitter. It's just too good, but it's not a strike. And so if you get ahead in counts and can lay off of it, you can get to his fastball. That SEC ERA is over 5 because he gets behind in counts and walks people. If he's on, you're not going to hit him, and he's been on for a month. But for me, it's all about Waldrop and trying to get some guys on base, and then like they did last night, you got to get a big hit.
Hunt, not a strike like the letter high fastball by Floyd last night that they kept swinging at every time. I mean, my goodness.
The Hunt Palmer
How good was Floyd? That was
he was
really
awesome.
special.
He was awesome. Hunt Palmer Show weekdays 1 to 3 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt will be live from Omaha for his show tomorrow, hopefully celebrating a national championship. Hunt, thanks, man.
Let's bring it home.
All right, that is Hunt Palmer. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. He's Jimmy Ott. I'm Matt Moscona. We will go back to Omaha inside the broadcast booth. Our buddy Doug Thompson, former Tiger great, member of the LSU Sports Radio Network, will break down last night and preview the pitching matchups for this one with us next here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got
you. Back to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Live from the College World Series in Omaha. Presented by Rev Business. With Charles Hannegriff and Jimmy Ott.
Matt Moscona and Jimmy Ott. Charles Hannegriff is in Omaha at the College World Series, which is where we find Doug Thompson, former Tiger great, member of the LSU Sports Radio Network. Duggar, you got to pitch in one of these, famously on the mound for the last out. How does it feel? How does it compare being in the broadcast booth for it?
Oh, man. I mean, not quite the same as being a player, of course, but lots of excitement. I'm walking around the concourse right now with my sons watching a little BP, and the buzz is real. There's Tiger fans everywhere, and just an incredible environment here in Omaha.
Doug, 97, did you anticipate with Coogan on the mound starting that game? Did you anticipate coming in that game?
No, I knew that at some point I would. The day before, Coach Berkman told us, the plan, which was, I remember it like yesterday. He said, you're both going to go as hard and long as you can. And that was kind of the goals, so I knew that I would get in the game. But the way that Coogan started off the game, I had my doubts because, man, he really started out hot that day. And, you know, he was on fire. So, but other than that, yeah, I knew that at some point that day I would likely get the call.
Kind of like that 2000 approach for both teams, Stanford and LSU, you know, with the Wayne Young and Talent Hodges. Dougie, we saw the video. We love it, but I cannot find the Uber driver anywhere in the video. Where exactly was he?
Well, no, you mean the Uber driver? No, you mean the gentleman sitting outside, the elevator attendant. No, he was right outside in the little lobby there, and I didn't want to step on the voice's call. I knew that there might be some choice words flying, lots of emotions for me. In fact, I even told him before the inning, I said, bro, if something big happens, I'm so amped up, I'm going to have to take these headsets off. And he said, do what you got to do, boss. And everything just kind of happened. And, but there's an older gentleman out there, and I startled him. I didn't see him when I ran out the door, of course, screaming bloody murder. And when I did look at him, he was crawled up in the corner. He thought somebody came in there looking to take the place over. But actually, I have a picture of him. I'll text you two guys after this. He told me yesterday when I walked in the press box, he said, son, are we going to be as excited as last night? I said, listen, I'm going to stay in the booth tonight, and I'm sorry about that. He said, oh, hell no, I'm an old college football coach. I loved it. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was good stuff.
Hey, Duggar, look, we saw a For the Ages performance from Ty Floyd. Why was it working so well for him last night?
Well, I think those first 6 or 7 innings, the shadows are real here at 6 o'clock. Like, it's real. And his fastball had some extra life on it. He's got the heaviest fastball on the team, and he threw 84 fastballs out of 120 pitches, which is just remarkable. I mean, it's as dominant can be. I never thought I would see the great Brett Laxton's record be broken, especially here in Omaha. But last night, Ty Floyd one step ahead. Wow, it was super special. I'm putting it up there with one of the best 2 or 3 outings in the history of the program.
Could and Doug, you told us at Barrett's on our show Tuesday that Floyd was the best stuff of the season. Well, could he have had this type of number of strikeouts with a wider strike zone on Monday night?
Oh, man, I mean, he had 10 through 5, and then the guy just suddenly stopped it up. Of course, social media is everywhere on exactly where some of those pitches were. And I'll tell you this, I got my 2 sons here that I love more than anything. I have 3, but 2 are here with me, and I bet one of them that strike or that 3-2 pitch that Ty Floyd threw for his only walk of the game, I would bet that the analytics showed that was right down the middle. It did not miss by much. I mean, Milazzo barely moved, and he was right behind the dish. So, I mean, it was as special as can be in this type environment. And what I was most proud of is that he pitched through the adversity. The Dugas ball, that was a really tough play on the fly ball. I think it was Caglione.
Yep.
Hit the ball right.
Yep.
That you could come unglued with that. You got a big guy up to bat. There could be a lot of emotion with that play, but Ty Floyd, he was just so resilient last night. And again, Ty Floyd's body will one day pass, but after last night, his name never will.
Why did so many Florida hitters keep chasing that 2-strike letter high fastball? What was the action on that?
That's such a great question, man. And not only were they chasing it, but they just weren't making an adjustment to get their foot down earlier. I mean, it looked to us in the booth like the ball was in the mid on several occasions, and I'm talking about with their dudes. The ball was in the mid. It just had extra life last night. He's not herky-jerky. He's not max effort. He's very smooth, and when that ball comes out of his hand, it explodes out of his hand. And, again, dude, Ty Floyd's an All-American when he has his stuff, and last night he proved that.
No, go ahead.
That's funny you mentioned Laxton because I asked Darren Dreifert, the 2-way All-American back in '93. I said, what did Laxton have special today? He said nothing. Well, I told Bertman that after, and he says, well, let me say, Darren's ball dips and dives. Laxton's explodes at the end. Did he have a little bit of that extra kind of explosion on his pitch last night that was causing that late, sort of attempt by the Florida hitters?
He absolutely did. There was a little extra life on it. And look, there's another thing you need to go out there and stand in the middle of that field all night, strike everybody that walks up out, and that's called cojones. Brett Laxton had him back in 1993, and Ty Floyd just, I mean, dude, to me, from where I was watching, he had that look that he was just not going to lose the game. He never wavered, and he just stayed firm all night. And again, it was a legendary performance, and I am so happy for that team.
Doug Thompson's with us on Twitter at DT9Tigers. You'll hear him and the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, less than an hour from right now on the network pregame show. First pitch at 2 o'clock on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, right here on Eagle 98.1. Duggar, we did see Travinski as a pinch hit, then replacement late in the ball game. Do you know any feeling or what you'd like the Tigers to do tonight behind the dish? Do you stick with Milazzo? Do you make the switch to Travinski with the wind blowing out?
That win would make me heavily consider it, but we don't have the information. Sid has a rib injury that's just one of those things. It's one swing it won't hurt, and the next swing he'll feel it full. It's just a very annoying thing that we've all been through in some way. And I think the first thing I would have to find out is, how do you feel, big guy? Because if Travinski's hurt, you got to go back to Milazzo. But I do like the thought with the wind blowing out, maybe changing it up and then inserting Milazzo perhaps late in the game defensively.
Doug, can Ackenhausen have that same approach that he did with the wind blowing in that he did on Tuesday?
No, because the wind's blowing out at 22 miles an hour right now. I mean, look, we haven't seen the flags like this in a long time. I mean, it looks like a storm's coming. That's how tight the flags are out the center field. So he will have to keep the ball down today. Not that he didn't the other day, but that will have to be the focus. You can't elevate the breaking ball. You can't elevate the fastball and win like this. Fly balls are going to get out of here in the gaps and down the lines today. And just a normal home run to center will actually get out of center field as opposed to having to hit it 450 feet.
Doug, by the way, lineup is posted. Travinski will be behind the dish. He'll be batting sixth, and Nate Ackenhausen is officially now, we know, starting for the Tigers today. What do you, as far as what the Tigers have behind Ackenhausen, clearly no Skeens, no Floyd. All other hands on deck today?
Well, I think maybe, look, again, this is just me talking to you.
Sure.
I don't have any information. But for me, I would hold Thatcher Hurd out of this one just in case, right? He wouldn't go down there, but I think you could see Herring. I think you could see Guidry. I think you could see Riley Cooper again today, quite honestly. And I think the bigger question, at least for me, is who will Florida send out there? Their closer last night threw 50-something pitches, and I'm not sure that he can bounce back from that. I was telling Chris during the broadcast he hadn't been through 3 innings yet. It's uncharted waters for him, and that's about the time that Cade Beloso got up to bat off of him. So who knows if we'll see their closer. But today, those 3 guys I named, those would be the first suspects I would think that the Tigers would send out there. But you never know what kind of tricks Jay Johnson has up his sleeve. But for me, Thatcher Hurd would be my safety valve for tomorrow, as rested as he can possibly be.
Doug Thompson of the LSU Sports Radio Network, about 45 minutes away. We'll hand it off to Chris and Doug there in the booth. Duggar, have a great call, man. Pull them through. Few things more exciting than get to call a championship game. Obviously, you know what it's like to play in one. Hopefully, you get a ring up in the booth today, man. We appreciate the time.
I'm going to try to keep a seatbelt on today. You're my guys. Y'all have a great one.
Our guy, Doug Thompson, also is with us on behalf of the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. Doug's doing a lot of great work with them. And the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, they aim to create a safer community by offering training courses to current Louisiana firefighters and first responders, as well as free training and consulting services to community business owners, teachers, administrators. They offer a variety of safety courses, consulting services that'll better prepare them for the unexpected and ultimately create a safer Louisiana. If you want to learn more about the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, you can log on to, it is LouisianaFirefighters.com. Again, LouisianaFirefighters.com. Doug's had an opportunity to explain to me a lot of the work they do, which is fantastic when you talk about firefighters and first responders. Just the utmost respect for them. So if you want to learn more, you want to be able to contribute to a safer Louisiana, LouisianaFirefighters.com. We appreciate Doug for joining us and reminding us about Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. All right, it is Eagle 98.1 game day. We have a Ryan Terrio coming up in about 17 minutes from right now. I want to talk to Terrio a little bit about how you approach this offensively, especially whenever you're going to face a guy with a split finger fastball who just, you don't see that very much. When we come back, though, we're going to go back to Omaha and chat with our buddy Charles Handgriff.
Up on the flagpole.
Is he on the flagpole?
Yeah, up on it.
Has he did he would you call it scaling when you just sort of hug the flagpole and move up, or did he have a ladder? How did he get up there, Otter?
Scaling.
He's scaling. Okay. We got Haney scaling the flagpole. We'll go back to
It's been there a long time.
Yeah. You know what? You get enough Rocco's Jello shots in, and maybe Haney will just feel empowered enough to scale a flagpole. Charles Hannegriff is with us next here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down to my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Back to Eagle 98.1 Game Day, live from the College World Series in Omaha. Presented by Rev Business with Charles Hannegriff and Jimmy Ott.
Well, Charles Hannegriff is joining us again on the phone from Omaha. With Jimmy Ott, I'm Matt Moscona, and glad to have you with us here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Hanny, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
Really well. We did just get a question in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat asking about the Golden Spikes Award, which is going to be announced today. Do we have any idea if that's going to be announced at the park, or is this going to be a TV studio
Kind of
thing?
do a 1:30 show. It's like a 30-minute show.
So it is going to be on TV?
Yeah, it's going to be preceding the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of the finalists will be there playing in the ball game as they were last night. Handy, you were in the park. You've seen a lot of these. Your reaction to what unfolded last night?
Well, I wasn't here for Laxton's game, but I've seen some gems up here. And, we've seen Paul Skeens, who's, arguably the best pitcher LSU's ever had. But Ty Floyd last night didn't just have the game of his life. He had the game of anybody's life.
Yeah.
Nobody's that's the most strikeouts that anybody's had in a game this season anywhere. It tops Skeens' his best performance in strikeouts. I don't know how you could have asked. I mean, under no scenario did I see Ty Floyd being able to do something like that. I thought he had a really good game on Monday, would have gone deeper had the strike zone not adjusted in the sixth. But if you're saying would I have expected him to go out and set a record, no, of course not. Tommy White's ball that tied the game really felt like, boy, such a momentum shift in the park at that point, even though it just tied the game. And then after that, when Riley Cooper gets in there, you feel really good that he's going to be able to shut him down. I mean, as for White's heroics, for Skeens' heroics, for everything we've seen from the rest of this team, Riley Cooper is the MVP of the series at this point, in my opinion.
Hanny, I think he wins it. LSU wins say Riley Cooper is the College World Series MVP. He's got 3 saves and a win. I mean, he's got 3 saves and a win. He is the MVP.
You have several candidates. I mean, Skeens is. I mean, you can't deny what Skeens has done. I mean, he's been.
I get it. Riley Cooper has impacted 4 games.
Yeah.
He
is. He has, and for just Skeens, as advertised, comes in and does what he's expected to do, and still you're saying like, yeah, he might not get it. Because he may not. Yeah. I was there in 93 for Laxton. Let me explain the difference, okay? Todd Walker hit one to the Henry Dorley-Sue in the first inning, and boom, LSU is on the board. They were underdogs in that game. Wichita State, like Florida last night, was rested. They had won their 3 games and had their pitching rested. Laxton got hit hard in the Sunday night game, the Marble game against A&M, so he was more fresh because he didn't last as long. But the other thing that was different, and I don't want to slight Laxton in any way, he pitched a complete game. But Charlie, there was not a whole lot of pressure mid-inning on. They won it 8-0. Yeah. This game was in the balance, trying to hang around. And I thought it was pretty cool, even when he's coming off the mound, and Skeens is right there to congratulate him, even when they're down 3-2. So I thought it was more pressurized. The park was playing fair last night. You had 4 bombs, okay? And certainly LSU could have scored a lot more runs when they left 10 on in the first innings. But that was the thing. It wasn't as many pressurized pitches in 93 for Laxton.
And, what makes it impressive about what Floyd did is in the middle of the season, even to the latter parts of the season, Floyd admitted himself that he let some external factors get to him. The most obvious one was at Auburn, when the balk call and the ejection and the game was held up for somewhere around 6 to 10 minutes. And before that, he had pitched lights out, and after that, they knocked him out of the game. And he said it afterwards. I'm letting too much outside stuff affect me. Well, look, man, if you were looking for an excuse up here yesterday, there were plenty. Or Monday night with the umpire, there were plenty. And Floyd has been through all of that. He's matured as a pitcher here in the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season, and that's just giant when you're trying to win a championship.
Hanny, I noticed your tweet a bit ago, and judging by the sound of your phone, the wind is whipping pretty good. You tweeted that this is the heaviest wind you've ever seen. Just describe what it's like there today.
Well, we went to eat lunch at a place across the street from the ballpark, and because there's a million people here, the only seating was outside. Our menus ended up 2 blocks away. Our water cups ended up down the street. I'm not kidding when I tell you that a basket of chips at the Mexican restaurant that we were sitting at outside would not stay on the table. Okay, so now you get behind left field, which is where I am right now. The flags are completely taut. I mean, the American flag looks like it's hanging on a wall because it's completely straight. Chairs are moving out. Here's another one. There might be 2 or 3 tents in this parking lot right now, and I'm sure they're bolted to the ground. Jimmy will tell you, on a normal day in Lot D, which is where I'm standing right now, there'll be 50, 60 tents. Okay, there's a lot of tailgating. You can't put them up. They're going to blow down the street. So it's blowing as hard as I've ever seen in this park, and I really don't remember it ever blowing this hard at Rosenblatt. They're talking about gusts in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. So we've already seen lineups. Travinsky is in the lineup. This is his kind of game. get the ball up in the jet stream, and it's going to go.
Live from Lot B along the banks of the Missouri, it's Hanny Cantori.
Our buddy Craig. I got to point this out. So our buddy Craig Schilling, who does all these incredible edits.
So we got to meet up there. Yeah.
Check out the edit that Craig Schilling just did. Andy, you got to go look at Twitter.
Let me see.
He's got Hanny. He's got climbing up the pole. It's an edit for those listening. It's Hanny climbing up a flagpole. You go check out. I'll retweet it. Go check out
Charlie. So it sounds like it. We can hear your phone when you sent me the video earlier. I'm trying to get now that I'm removed from Omaha. I'm trying to get the flagpole report. But 98 was the biggest a case of wind. And it was hailing out on that Saturday afternoon CBS game when CBS would do the early game. That was a nationally televised game where they hit 7 home runs off Seth Etherton.
Yeah.
And then when the wind blew in, and it was nothing. You weren't getting it up, and it was small ball. So how does it compare? That's the most wind factor that I've dealt with there. So how does it compare to that? Because I know you were there too.
It's blowing harder today, Jimmy. It's blowing a lot harder than that day, and I do remember it really well. Cressy hit one out to center field that ended up in the zoo's administrative offices. Okay, it's blowing harder today. Only way I can put it, it's blowing hard, a lot harder right now.
Will that soften your stance on this park a little bit if it plays a lot? Because you love Omaha, everything but how the park plays a little bit.
My problems with this park, and we'll probably do a little of this next week when the emotion and everything is subsided, has a lot more to do than just with being able to hit home runs or not hit home runs. I don't like the amount of foul territory that they have here. I don't think that's right. I don't think that when you got to play your center fielder as far in as you that you're drastically affecting the game. The outfielders today, this is going to be an adventure. I'm standing here. I was talking just a few minutes ago with Antoine Duplantis, who plays here in 17, and he just told me, he says, look, man, fly balls that don't get out are going to be an adventure for the outfielders today. He says, and I know, I played out here. He said, and this is harder than it was, blowing back then. They are really going to be challenged out there. Nothing will be routine to the outfield.
Hey, Handy, before you go ahead, Otter. I'm sorry.
You got to have breaks, Charlie. Wake Forest made their break for him. That outstanding play on Monday night by the third baseman in foul territory. Trey Morgan made it. Then it was kind of the hard hit balls against Wake Forest in the 11th inning game, the 2-0 game, where the relief came in for Skeens and they just hit balls right at LSU the whole time. What are you thinking as that ball comes off the bat from that hitter for Florida last night that Pearson caught?
I thought it was going to be extra bases. From my vantage point, I thought it was going to get down and probably go to the wall. And I thought LSU's about to be in a real bind here.
And that was ball game, Charlie.
That was
no.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. What can I say? He saved it, and it was a great play, and it's indicative of what we're talking about. The left fielders here. Now, he wasn't dealing with the sun at that point in the game, but you're talking about wind patterns that will blow the ball, several feet in the other direction. We saw him make a kind of a snow cone catch at his knees. I forgot what game it was. I think it was one of the Tennessee games. But, no, that was on a regular day. Yesterday was a regular day wind-wise. Today is anything but. And this is just a guess. But, Ackenhouse is going to start today. You're going to see a lot of pitchers, I think, for both teams. And, listen, as soon as they can get Hudson Waldrop out of the game, the better, because he's been Florida's best pitcher in the postseason. So while, the wind blowing out is going to obviously affect both pitching staffs, I'm not at all, my feelings aren't hurt if Waldrop leaves the game.
Thanks, Hanny. Enjoy the game today. We'll hear from you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right. Be well. That is Charles Hannegriff there.
That has to.
That's Cantori. Hanny Cantori.
That has to have factored into Johnson's decision.
With Travinsky?
Catcher. Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
That
last night's ball is 10 rows up, the way these conditions sound.
I think you said it well. Whenever when the wind shifted in the middle of this week, it didn't matter how hard you hit a ball, it wasn't going out. You knew you were going to play low-scoring defensive games, and certainly everyone's spoken about Travinsky having the injury, but Jay Johnson went defense. We've talked a bunch about the Morgan play. The Morgan play was spectacular, But don't forget, Milazzo had to catch that ball and swipe tag and maintain his ground. I mean, that was a big part of it as well. So, and then stealing strikes, like we've talked about. As a matter of fact, we got Terrio coming up here right after this break. It's important. But Jimmy, I think we're all in agreement. It feels like today is going to be more offensive. Now, you got Waldrop on the bump, so you got to make contact, which is not an easy thing to do. The guy struck out 37 over his last 3 starts. But if you do put the ball in the air, there's a good chance it goes today.
I think Ryan will say the same thing, but I mean, the key for LSU hitters, stay out of that 2-strike count.
Yeah. Well, let's ask him. Let's ask him what when your LSU's hitters are going to see a splitty that you don't often see in college baseball, but a lot of these guys did see him last year in that Hattiesburg Regional. So is there an advantage there? We'll delve into that. We'll talk about the LSU hitters with Ryan Terrio when we come back on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Where personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Back to Eagle 98.1 Game Day, live from the College World Series in Omaha. Presented by Rev Business with Charles Hannegriff and Jimmy Ott.
30 minutes before we hand the baton to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, and former Tiger Doug Thompson on the LSU Sports Radio Network from Charles Schwab Field. Jimmy Ott, Matt Moscona, we are downtown Baton Rouge, joined now by former Tiger Ryan Terrio, who, of course, scored the game-winning run in the 2000 College World Series at Rosenblatt Stadium 23 short years ago. How old do you feel?
Super.
I know. I know. Hey, it's look, it's a great opportunity. When you wake up on a day, and you got to do this in college and in the pros, when you wake up on a day knowing you're going to play for a championship after all the work to get to this point, what are those guys feeling like right now going to the ballpark?
I mean, they're so excited, you know, especially in college, because in a place like LSU, it is a realistic goal. You know, it's different than in the big leagues and pro ball. You never know what's going to happen throughout the season. But, you know, you've got some haves and have-nots in college baseball, and we all knew that LSU was going to be there. And so Omaha was discussed from the first day in fall, you know, until now. And you realize that dream morning of, I mean, it's so much excitement, Matt. You know, you can't wait for the day to get started. You rush through breakfast, you know, the meetings that are going on. You know, you just want to get that over with, and you're ready for the national anthem, and you want to get it on.
Hey, we've talked a lot today about the wind, and we wanted to talk more about how the hitters approach this day. How does the wind alter your approach as a hitter on this day?
You know, it can be a little dangerous. Guys can get too big, try to do too much because they see the wind blowing out. You know, they just want to get the ball in the air. I think the main thing to do offensively, you know, I know, is stick to your same approach. You know, and this is a team that's driven the ball out of the park, LSU and Florida as well. But a team that's driven the ball out of the park, so you don't have to change anything. It's not like you go in there and try to lift the ball or try to elevate. You just continue to do what you've done all year. And you have certain guys in the lineup that they're not in there to do that, you know, and so you don't want them to change or do anything differently. But yeah, I mean, it makes for a more interesting outcome for sure. Everybody loves to see the ball go over the fence.
Ryan, Charlie and I were just talking about the biggest wind factor we remember is 98 when it shifted from blowing out, where LSU, 7 different hitters hit home runs against Seth Etherton, a first-round pick, to where it blew in and became a small ball. He said this is more of a factor today. So, I mean, this is like one of those windy days at Wrigley when it's blowing out. So, I mean, it is a big deal. Now, LSU's approach against the splitter, you know, that's so tough to hit by Waldrop. What do you do to stay out of that 2-strike zone?
I mean, look, it's the nastiest pitch in the game if you can throw it effectively. We look back at some of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball history, you know, like Trevor Hoffman, the list goes on and on, but it's, you know, it's a hard knuckleball that looks like a fastball, and it just falls straight down. And so your eyes tell you one thing, but the ball is going to do something different. You know, you have to hit or swing, rather, to where you think that ball is going to end up. The same is true for, like, Gavin Guidry's slider that has that big 12-6 action. And you know, your eyes are going to lie to you. It's hard. You got to stay disciplined. And also know that if it's a strike, it's going to eventually be a ball, you know, and so it's hard to lay off those. You know, you guys have heard it. If it's high, let it fly. If it's low, let it go. I mean, that statement rings true with the splitty more than any other pitch.
Well, Sullivan, in his opening comments last night after the loss, kind of made a comment about that their approach, they got caught up in it too much a little bit, maybe with trying to be a little bit guerrilla ball. But what about how many times they chased the same pitch, letter high fastball with 2 strikes by Floyd last night?
I mean, look, it just goes back to what you mentioned earlier with the wind blowing out, and guys get excited. They want to try to do too much. They want to be the hero, and you know, you have to let the game come to you. Let's be honest, though. Floyd was special last night. My wife actually asked me, she says, why does it look like his ball's rising? You know, and it's just when you can get a guy, you guys remember Chris Young from years ago, the big tall righty in the big leagues. If you get a guy and his fastball stays on plane like that, it is very, very difficult to make consistent contact, and Floyd did great. But I just saw a very aggressive approach offensively by those guys. You know, they all wanted to get the big hit. You know, today you're going to see more of the same with the wind blowing out, I believe, and you know, hopefully LSU can stay disciplined with their approach.
We've seen a couple of guys scuffle a little bit. Look, Joe Bear has had his struggles. Jordan Thompson has had his struggles in Omaha. I think we've all seen that. Mm-hmm. How do those guys get going today against Waldrop? And maybe, Ryan, another way to talk about it, too, is both of them saw him last year in the Hattiesburg Regional. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I mean, some familiarity is always good. You know, that's why we see starting pitchers, you know, 3rd, 4th time through the lineup generally struggle. I think this guy's different than he was last year. At least the last 4 or 5 games, he's really been throwing the ball well. You know, Joe Bear, I guess both Thompson and Joe Bear, but Joe Bear needs to, and I think he will today, you know, make some adjustments. In other words, your swing doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look good. I don't care what the baseball card looks like when they snap the picture, and kind of get into a little bit more of a fight mode, more of a battle mode, try to extend him out, see more pitches. And And with Thompson, I just feel like everything is pull side. You know, he's swinging early in the count right now. I don't think he wants to get down 0-2 or 1-2. Doesn't want to strike out. Therefore, he's making soft contact, early in the count. So, I mentioned pull side. Yeah, I would love to see Jordan just stay inside everything and really commit the other way. And if the splitter shows up, he'll pull that ball. But if it's a heater, he can stay inside the baseball and hit the ball up the middle.
Yeah, the battle zone, they certainly got Sproat's pitch count up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable how many pitches that guy threw in that short of an appearance.
Threw 30 in the first inning. Gavin Dugas had an 11-pitch at bat. I mean, to Ryan's point, he really worked it there. Ryan, what do you think about Nate Ackenhausen today? He talked after the game on Tuesday about having confidence throwing his changeup over the plate with the wind blowing in. I don't know if you've seen the reports yet, but the winds are gusting out. Charles Handegriff was just with us, said it's the windiest day he's ever seen in 27 years in Omaha. Mm-hmm. Does that change Ackenhausen's approach attacking Florida hitters?
I mean, look, I guess there's two different trains of thought here. I mean, it could be the perfect storm, right? You have an aggressive Florida team. They're swinging early in the count. They're trying to get the ball out. If he can locate that changeup down in the zone, he should have a really good day. But the flip side of that is, if he misses, you have an aggressive Florida team, wind blowing out, and it could get ugly, So I don't think he changes his approach. What made him so good the other night, guys, is he was ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. I mean, hitting is very hard. It gets a little bit easier when you're in a plus count as a hitter. And Nate was, he was just ahead of every hitter. It opened up the zone. And he was a benefit of a decent-sized strike zone as well. What I'm looking for is are we going to have an umpire, we've seen him a few times, that's going to give us 2 or 3, 4 inches off the plate, outside? And if they are, can he locate there? Because that would neutralize the wind, in my opinion.
I thought one thing he did really good in his midweek start also was, he kept the ball. Tennessee pounded the ball down. I mean, he hit a lot of Atlanta ground balls in that game as well.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And listen, I mentioned the changeup, but also the curveball. He was dropping in his slider and his curveball, getting ahead, first pitch of the at-bat, which really puts a hitter on his heels. LSU doesn't have much of a choice. I love having Hurd basically on deck and a guy that we know we can send out 5-6 innings if we need to. I mean, I think Nate is 100% the dude to pitch. I just hope LSU can get it done today, because tomorrow is going to be a question mark.
Casey Moser was the home plate umpire the game against Wake Forest. Everyone had an issue with
the Monday game.
Yes, the Monday game. Tonight is Jeff Head. Or this afternoon is Jeff Head. So it's a different umpire than was the umpire that game against Wake Forest on Tuesday. Ryan, any thoughts, any keys to today's ball game as you look at it as LSU tries to win national championship number 7?
Look, we've seen some veterans step up, have giant at bats and some really big hits, big contributions to get them to this point. There's been some unsung heroes, in my opinion. There was a few plays. Everybody talks about the ball that Josh Pearson caught last night, but there was a couple other ones. There was a sun ball that he caught that was a very difficult play. I think there's going to be somebody that's going to have to step up and have a game, whether it be Braden Jobert, Jordan Thompson. Dylan Cruz has proven he's going to do what Dylan Cruz does. Tommy White is on fire right now. And look, that guy could be Trey Morgan as well. But I look for one play defensively similar to Ray Wright in 2000 or Pearson last night to be the thing that turns this game around. And then, I love the dramatics. You want to see a homer. I just hope when we walk them off and win today, I hope somebody fires their helmet in the stands like Armando did and myself.
I love it. Ryan Terrier, 2000 national champion, scored the game-winning run, of course, that day. The bat of Brad Cressy knocked him in. So we'll see what's the next chapter written in LSU lore. Hopefully it's today there at Charles Schwab Field. Thanks, Ryan.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Go Tigers.
That Armando was in '93. That was in the Long Beach game to get him there, because obviously 8-0 was not the dramatics. But that was, as Todd Walker, what did you think about when they walked the bases loaded? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Pitch to him with an open base.
Yeah.
Oh, He hit a rocket off the first base. He almost put a hole in his chest, man.
Suffice to say, Todd Walker could and probably still can hit the baseball.
Yes, indeed.
So it is Jeff Head behind the plate for the Tigers. For the Tigers and the Gators, he has not been the home plate ump for an LSU game in this College World Series so far.
How many different crews are they working?
I don't know that answer, but you have seen a lot of the same umpires. But LSU's had a different home plate umpire for each. I just went through each box. So they've had a different home plate umpire.
Two crews working day, night, whatever it is. A big thing too is you will not have pitching from the sunlight into the shade that you have for these 6 o'clock starts. So that'll be eliminated unless it goes to extra innings. So that's and that was the other thing too, man. That Skeens that Thursday night game, that thing flew by. It was like in the 7th inning. We're like an hour 20 into this thing. Yeah. So it was unreal. And that's the other thing I saw about Eckenhausen. And did you see how quickly Riley Cooper? He quick pitched the guy basically on the last strikeout.
Yeah.
The guy wouldn't even say, well, ball game, see ya. We're getting in and out. But it's a sign of the confidence. And I'm wondering with that wind blowing out today, if he'll still be working at that pace that he was.
Well, one championship has already been secured, Otter. The Jello Shot Championship.
Oh, wow.
6 minutes ago, Rocco's posted the update. 46,259 Jello shots. The record a year ago was Ole Miss with 18,000.
What are we talking about? The Dream Team versus, with Bird, Magic, and Jordan against, I don't know, Argentina or something.
Didn't they played an African nation too? Was it Senegal or something? And all the guys are they're all taking pictures with Bird and Jordan and all the guys. This is just
Ole Miss had their little champ title for a year.
Ole Miss is Croatia with Tony Kukoc. Just basically what it amounts to. You were good in your thing, but you're playing with the big boys.
Sit back down, Runts.
46,259 Jello shots.
46.
Imagine if they have a game 3, Otter. Oh my God! Imagine if it goes another day.
Well, you're going to have one of the two. You're going to have a celebration today,
right. Great point.
Which starts at 5 p.m. That will, that will last a little while, or you're going to play another one tomorrow with a possible celebration as well.
Man, all right. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day presented by Rev Business. We appreciate our friends at
Jello
Rev.
handicapping.
What was LSU? What was the line on LSU before this thing started, Otter?
As far as
the Jello shots.
Oh, like I told you, minus 880.
Minus 880. Oh my goodness. All right, it's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Midweek game versus Louisiana College.
You never know, man. Those midweek games can get hairy sometimes, right? Depends on who you're going to throw. You're just getting some guys some work in there. I never know. How did you kick a ball? Who knows?
Central Connecticut State.
Twitter
weekend
will melt.
series.
It's kind of how it goes, All right, it's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Our final break. We'll come back, give you a final thought on LSU and Florida before we hand it off to the LSU Sports Radio Network.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special. Grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
Back to Eagle 98.1 Game Day, live from the College World Series in Omaha. Presented by Rev Business with Charles Hannegriff and Jimmy Ott.
We certainly do appreciate Hunt Palmer, Doug Thompson, Charles Hannegriff, Ryan Terrio for joining us here as we lead you up to the game, hopefully helping the time pass a little more quickly. Jimmy and I, it's been fun to do this, man. What a week. For you, 9 days in Omaha, just getting back a couple days ago. But for all of us to follow this run has been been pretty incredible.
And doing those pieces, we're either driving over there or walking through, or in the press room getting the starting lineups and something. And you always have a little bit of distractions. But today, with the win, I mean, with the added people that are coming in, people want to, hey, it's just. But it's fun. It's fun. I just cannot. You left. When my battery's on low, and here comes this whole new wave. I mean, and they are fully charged. I can't keep up. I'm sorry. We have limitations with age, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. And this is new. Like I said, you want to talk about the differences in Rosamond? This didn't happen. We talk about that '93 game against Wichita State. Wichita State was a short drive away. They dominated the amount of people in that stadium for that LSU. And keep in mind, LSU didn't qualify till, 14 hours before on that Friday. So it is the whole second wave, started really ramped up in 17. But we saw it last year with Ole Miss. We saw it the year before with Mississippi State. So you get that little bit of that buffer. And this was very predictable how many and what you saw last night, I think you're going to see more today.
Yeah.
I think you're just going to see that much more today. And that's a hard part to create sort of that atmosphere that you could feel through the broadcast last night.
In about 8 minutes, the broadcast will start for the Golden Spikes Awards. So it's Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, and Jack Caglione. All three players are available or will play or are on the teams. Obviously, Paul Skeens
will get it.
You think Skeens will win it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Dylan Cruz is going to win it. The votes had to be in before the College World Series started. I think if everyone had the opportunity to watch him in the College World Series and then vote, I do think Paul Skeens would win it. But I think Cruz is going to win the award. I think Skeens probably deserves it. He's just been otherworldly. But Cruz, I think, has been more of a household name to voters around the country for longer.
There's nobody at the major league level consistently throwing 100 with their fastball.
Yeah.
Nobody at the major league level now that's making a lot of money. I think, I think this is a little extraordinary in that regard. I mean, he's going to fit right in, and it's control. I think he's recognized as being really, really special. A little bit more special than Cruz. Now, Cruz only got back-to-back, Conference Player of the Year ever. Yeah. I mean, that says it said itself, but they're both phenomenal, but I would give it to Skeens. I think he's a little bit more special.
We'll see. We'll get that answer here shortly. We got about 3 minutes before we hand it off to Chris Blair and Doug Thompson. You want to give a final thought on this ballgame?
Bombs away. Here we go. It's like Rosenblatt. I mean, it is howling out. We said that the wind shifted. It shifted, but it played sort of neutral last night, and it allowed 4 home runs. You had 4 home runs last night. I think you're going to have even more, and I think you'll finally have for the first time this season, I mean, in this College World Series, through 14 games, the highest any team has scored at 6 runs. That's unheard of in the College World Series. So I think that LSU's best chance is to get Waldrop out, and as soon as it can. And because after last night using those two studs out the bullpen, that bullpen is all of a sudden a little bit more vulnerable.
I completely agree. The lineup, I think, is interesting. For those who missed it, Hayden Travinski is in the starting lineup. He'll bat 6th. So just to run through it really quickly, it's Cruz, White, Morgan, Dugas, Beloso, Travinski, Jobert, Thompson, Pearson. Terrio alluded to it. I'm going to circle the 7 and 8 hole hitters today. I'm going to circle Braden Jobert and Jordan Thompson, 2 guys that I know have fought it so far. But those guys are going to be hunting fastballs, and they're going to get fastball. They're going to get split-finger fastballs, but they're also going to get hittable pitches today on the other side from Hurston Waldrop. And they both faced Waldrop a year ago as well. So the guys like Cruz and Morgan and Dugas and Jobert and Thompson, Pearson, who all saw Waldrop a year ago, I'd be curious to see how those guys get going. But I have just a sneaking suspicion that Jobert or Thompson, one of them, does come up with a big swing today.
Is it Thompson that did have one of those extended at-bats that drove the pitch count? I think he still got out, but it was...
last night?
Yeah, and early on Sproat. It was a double-digit pitch at bat. He kept fouling off. So he did change his approach a little bit. And so, some of those guys, it'll be interesting how much confidence they have with that wind blowing out. These pitchers have been really challenging hitters. Now they see the flags. They feel the wind, so it'll be interesting.
All of the pressure shifts to Kevin O'Sullivan. He's got to be all in to win this game. I'm going to keep an eye on Caglione as well to see if he's in a desperate spot, does he bring Caglione out of the bullpen to pitch today? That would be another interesting decision. He's desperate.
He's going to do everything he can to not.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
The way this park may play today and what we think in the increased scoring, it's just impossible to keep pitchers in as long as usual.
Nate Ackenhausen on the bump for the Tigers as LSU tries to claim the program's 7th national championship, and you will hear it right here on Eagle 98.1. For Jimmy Ott, Grant Lanero, Taylor Sharp, I'm Matt Moscona. We appreciate you for being aboard with us here. We are going to hand it off to the guys in the LSU Sports Radio Network. They'll count you down to first pitch of LSU and Florida. Could be the deciding game for the national championship today from Charles Schwab Field. Have a great day. So long, and go Tigers.
Expect more savings. Expect more selection. Expect more with no payments for 90 days during our Spring into Adventure sales event going on right now at Supreme Chevrolet in Gonzales and Supreme Chevrolet West in Plaquemine. That's right.